I ate waffles today. My dad gave me waffles. Y'all like waffles? I don't know. They kind of taste like diabetes, and the maple syrup tastes like the blood of an orphan. Anyway, an interesting patch, huh? And by interesting, I mean this was a patch. Look, I'm not saying it was bad, but you know that wasn't an Archon quest. And calling it such is. And calling it such would be a disgrace to the Archon quest name, interlude, or otherwise. It took me less than an hour, and for like 50 of the minutes we were just running around with a gym teacher curing niggas I don't give a fuck about of PTSD. It was kind of made up for nearer towards the end when Il Capitano, the captain, appeared, who I've now just noticed has his own theme song when he starts speaking.
Abyssal corrosion syndrome. 500 years later, and it's resurfaced again.
All he really did was just confirm that the Shade of Death Ronova was the one who cursed the Khaenrians to immortality, which, above all else, ought to serve as a clear indication that the previously deceitful and manipulative Ronova has once again fallen under the sovereign dominion of the heavenly principles. In layman's terms, that's how you get your motherfucking bitch back in line! And then the quest ended with Shilonen prepping some more for the Traveler's Ancient's name, so yeah, not much there. There's the cool new Springs of Jade book series in layaway that speaks of Time's daughter. Interesting, huh? And obviously there's, you know, new region, Ochkanatlan, and its story quest, but I'm just gonna wait for people to play it before we speak about that. But wasn't much there. I feel like I've lived through this before. Whenever there's a patch that's oddly sparse in lore, I mean, hell yeah, it does something. They throw us a bone. They did it with Khaenriah in 4.5, and they've done it again with the Wings of Fate Course Intertwined Wind Glider in 5.2. And if we liken Khaenriah to the tibia of a baby kangaroo, then this new wind glider is the baculum of a 2,000-pound, 10-foot tall great ape. Y'all know what a baculum bone is? I can't show a picture. Baculum, B-A-C-U-L-U-M. Go have fun learning about the wonders of Earth's inhabitants and the mystifying bones that plague, well, not in this case, enhance some creatures. All I'm saying is we all know that one nigga that very much appreciate a baculum. How about you just be grateful for what you got, huh? I could give a recap of the glider, but it just wouldn't do it justice. We're gonna do one, but first, a story time. So grab whatever the fuck you need. Any prayers before we do this shit? Anyone got anything to say? Hey, for the deaf niggas, I got y'all, bro. Quote, "It was from afar that he glimpsed that head of golden hair when the great king announced the successor to the throne. The celebratory clamor had little to do with him, and indeed, he would have to help clean up the flowers, both real and fake, strewn about after the fact. Looking behind him briefly, he then continued maintaining order in the plaza that lay before the palace gates. He was still just an ordinary young knight after all. The golden-haired crowned princess, for her part, gazed out at the sea of humanity, unsure, only now realizing that so many dwelled in this underground realm. Once, she had been a scion of a lost glorious kingdom, bearing the weight of an entire world. But in her brief life, she had sensed the goodwill of those who lived here, and so had shouldered the pillar of the earth, going from the ruler of a world to the hope of but a single nation. The young knight was not of insignificant background, but that was worth little in the grand scheme of things. The royal golden hair's fate was far nobler, but now having lost her world, she yearned for but a single realm. Later, the young knight was promoted, and the title of Twilight Sword was bestowed upon him. As for the royal heir with the golden hair, she was led by the last Vinster king down to the kingdom's deepest depths. The young knight, initially intending only to save his older brother, who had been imprisoned and blinded in both eyes for giving an oracle, the young knight gathered the brilliant young ones of the age. Their righteous deeds, that of saving the nation, was but a deed done in passing. But the golden-haired heir was used as a vessel by which unlimited abyssal power could be absorbed, and she became the key to the world's near annihilation. This was the moment that their paths intertwined, one a noble tumbling from the light into the abyss, and the other, a humble existence climbing upward from the darkness. Regicide, righteousness, ruthlessness, treachery, until all was rendered desolate, and that which came thereafter, where the two spirits bound by common agony would journey together, would also seem but a single point of intersection in their all too long, gradually diverging lives. Bro, this last pair, who wrote this shit? It's so dog shit, bro. 9? Like, what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 tries for this last paragraph. This is the longest sentence I've ever read in my entire fucking life, with the most confusing. Bro, you wanna see how simple this shit was in CN? Regicide, great righteousness, murderous intent, betrayal, until everything became barren. After this, the time the two spent together, traveling as kindred spirits, was but a brief moment compared to their long and diverging lives. Meanwhile, we go to the fucking English one, and it's sitting here talking about single point of intersection, and they're all too. What the fuck? They're not cooking, bro! This is so bad! So yeah, the text is a bit insane in terms of content. Before we recap, I do want to point out other differences in the CN version. In English, they call our sibling's life brief, but a better translation is that our sibling's life in Khaenriah was brief. They were in the palace of Khaenriah for a brief while, not they have a brief life. Furthermore, that makes it sound like I'm talking about a nigga with cancer, but you know what I'm saying, bro. Like, furthermore, the phrase gifting an oracle is literally, he provided a prophecy. You know, he didn't like, I'm gonna give you a nigga. But other than that, the rest is fine, so let's recap. We got information on the traveler's original home, where we learn the siblings ruled an entire world, which is nuts, seeing as you guys just remember, Teyvat is only a continent. There's places outside of Teyvat, the Dark Sea, and Thanes is just the ruler of the continent of Teyvat, which means the twins were moving nuts back in their day. Good lord, in CN, they were quite literally called the King of the World, and are said to come from a kingdom of glory. We do, however, once again get confirmation that their world has been destroyed. They were looking for a new home, and wound up on Teyvat, where Irmin decided our sibling would succeed him. Irmin, by the way, is called the Vinster or Dark King. You know, the one Dain and friends could have stopped, but given its usage in the text, it sounds like all the Eclipse Dynasty rulers were Vinster and Dark Kings, but that's not all regarding Irmin, that devious son of a bitch. He'd take the sibling to the depths of Khaenriah, where he intended for them to be a vessel and absorb unlimited amounts of abyssal power, which explains why the traveler can cleanse abyssal energy. It's because he's not cleansing it at all. He's absorbing it. Anyway, Irmin's plans would clearly go awry, and the sibling would become the key to the world's near destruction. The young knight referenced all throughout is obviously Dainsleif, although, interestingly, given he only recently ascended to the position of Twilight Sword, I mean, he was right when our sibling was announced as successor to the throne, I'm curious what this holds for the now dubbed Sentinel Knights, also known as the Captain. Dain, you see, while the sibling was being crowned around, was gathering the best of the best, ones who may have already saved the nation once, you know, those Khaenrian greats who are now called sinners. Dain was gathering them to save his brother Vedrfolnir, who gave a prophecy and as a result was blinded and locked up. A prophecy that presumably King Irmin didn't like. I wonder what Vedrfolnir could have possibly seen. And it sounds like Vedrfolnir was imprisoned in the depths of Khaenriah, or maybe even the Abyss, because the text writes, quotes, "This was the path of a noble person falling from light into the Abyss, and a humble person climbing from darkness to the light, the moment their paths crossed." If the noble person is the sibling and the humble Dain, it could make sense. I don't know. It just seems hilarious. Just imagine like a big-ass flight of stairs, the sibling and Irmin going down the stairs to the Abyss, Dain and his posse going up the stairs after they got Vedrfolnir. They all just pass each other. I don't know, it just seemed funny to me. Anyway, the description ends by hinting at the fact that King Irmin was killed, as regicide is the act of killing a king. A lot to talk about in the future, folks. A lot to talk about.